Guys, welcome to the Dice Matrix. My name's Eric Tarver. I'm here today to tell you about my top 7 gateway games to get people into the hobby. This is a list that just of games that I've played personally that I feel that are not too difficult, but it gives into an interesting learning curve that may attract people into games that they normally are not used to playing. You know, like if they've played classic games like, you know, your old Parcheesi's or Monopolies, or, you know, if they just play standard card games like Hearts or whatever. You know, there's so many little games out there that's fantastic, and there's a huge world out here with the contemporary board game industry, and I just think it's fantastic if we can introduce new people into the genre of modern board games. So anyway, this is my top 7 gateway games to try to get people into playing some different type of games, get them out of their box and into a new game system that they may enjoy. Coming in my number 7 is Hey, That's My Fish. It's a fun little game where everybody plays penguins. It's made for all ages. Looks good at the table. Everybody builds this little board. I think it's approximately 8 by 8. I can't remember. I had to look at the little, very small, simple rules here. You basically put all these pieces together to make an ice floe, which are like hexagons or whatnot. And then everybody takes turns and puts their little penguins on the board. And then as they take turns moving their penguin, they will collect where they left from, the piece that they moved from, breaking up the ice floe. And those pieces they collect will have a fish counter on them, either 1, 2, or 3, which are worth 1, 2, or 3 points at the end of the game. And the whole idea is to either cut yourself off onto your own ice floe so you can collect all those points, or maybe to eliminate your opponent into a smaller section, block them off where they can't move anymore and collect any points. But it's really a great game. It's easy to play because the rules are so simple. So you may not, as a new gamer coming into it, they may not understand that abstract strategy part of it. But as they play it, they'll see the fun in it. It's so easy. Any game that's easy, light on rules to play, that's the way to get somebody in. And this is a great pick, I feel like, for the number 7 on my list for gateway games, and that's Hey, That's My Fish. Coming in my number 6 is Star Flux. Now hey, don't turn the channel. I understand there's some people out there that don't enjoy Star Flux, but let me explain why this is my gateway game. There are many Flux games, and you might use one of the genres. I'm a science fiction fan, so this is why I like this one the best. But you can pick one of the genres to tempt people, because they make a zombie Flux and a regular Flux. I mean, there's just so many different math Flux. People like math. This is kind of like a party game, that way I explain it to people, with some strategies. It's mostly luck, I get that. But the whole thing is, people that play games that aren't, as far as the normal variety, when they're playing all the classic games, they don't understand that how deep games can be, so you need something lighter to bring them in. And Flux it's so easy to play because the rules are, as they change, you start off, you draw a card, and then you play a card. And you play these keepers out in front of you, and eventually goals get formed. When you play a goal, no one knows how to win the game until one of those are played. And if you have the right keepers in front of you, you win the game. But during this whole time, all these other rules and the cards that you play change the rules of the game. You might be drawing 4 cards, and then you can only play 2, or you might have to discard your whole hand. It's a fantastic, easy to learn game that I call it mainly a party game, but it's a great introductory baby step into the world of bigger games. And I love Star Flux because all the keepers have special powers and do a lot of different things, and you can win ways you don't see coming. And I will tell you this, so a lot of people that hate on Flux don't like it because of the randomness. So at any moment you can plot your best, have your best intentions and plot your goal to the end, but at any second on someone's turn they can play a card and it just messes up everything that you have. So you can't really form a great strategy. You can only increase your odds on winning by just, you know, knowing a bunch of the cards, and hopefully move your percentage up, if you're a better player, from like 10% to maybe 15% chance to win. I don't know. Those aren't accurate numbers. I just pull them out of the air arbitrarily, so forgive me for that. But anyway, nonetheless, if no one's ever played like a contemporary board game and they like card games, easy to learn, quick to the table, and you can play the games really fast. So Star Flux is my pick for the gateway game number 6. Coming in at number 5, Forbidden Island. It's forbidden. That's why I'm whispering. Actually, I'm just being a goofball. Hey, Forbidden Island is probably the easier first step game to play, because this has a series where he goes on to Forbidden Desert, which is a bigger game, and a lot of people would say they pick that, which is perfectly fine. But I feel like this game is a great game for introductory, because it's a cooperative game, first of all, because a lot of times people that play these other games have never played a game where you can play together to beat an objective, to all be victors at the same time. And Forbidden Island, everybody gets to play a role, like either you're a pilot or a scientist, and you lay out these tiles on the board, and you have to travel trying to find all the 4 treasures before the island sinks to the bottom of the ocean, and make it back to the helipad. And if you can accomplish this as a group and get everybody with all 4 treasures, get everybody to the place where you can take the helicopter out of there, you win the game. And there's different levels of degree of difficulty, but it's a fun, quick, cooperative game, easy to learn. The rules are written really well. I've never really seen this go bad when I teach people, and it looks good. And games that look good are easy to present to the table to bring people's interest in. So my number 5 pick for gateway games is Forbidden Island. My number 4 pick on the list is Dominion. Dominion is an interesting game because it was the first that I know of. I mean, there's other games that did the mechanic on a much smaller, less efficient scale, but it's called a deck building game, where you start off with a certain amount of cards in your hand, just money basically, and you're trying to acquire different cards that give you actions to do things, to buy more, to give bigger money, to buy bigger things, to buy properties. And eventually, when you get these properties at the end of the game, they score for victory. But what happens is every player starts off with 10 cards, and you get 5 in your hand at a time, and then you play them all pretty much, and then get them out of your hand, and then you buy stuff, and then you take all those cards that you just bought and you shuffle them into your deck, and then you start getting the new cards into your hand because your deck grows. That's why it's deck building. I mean, I know that sounds very simplistic the way I broke it down, but Dominion is what I call a concept game. So it's great for gateway gaming, because someone who has never played any type of game, even gamers who are used to other games, the first time they play a deck building game, they're like, what is this? I remember when I introduced it to my friend Paul, he was like, oh wow, this is interesting, because he had played Magic the Gathering for so many years and a lot of these other games, and it's more traditional, straight out. I mean, not that he was not above playing other games, but when you first play a game with a fresh, brand new mechanic, which of course this is like probably 10 years old now, and so many spin-offs, and so many people probably even do this a little bit better, but Dominion's a first great step into the deck building genre, and you would just be amazed how many times when I break this out, and once they get it and they're like, wow, and it doesn't take long at all. After about 2 or 3 hands, they're like, oh, okay, I get that, now that's in my deck, and now when I get to those cards and draw them, I'll be able to do more things and get more stuff and more money and buy more properties. And so the game accelerates really fast, and you have to make those decisions in the game of what you buy and when to decide when your deck's efficient enough to start buying the bigger properties so it doesn't junk up your deck. But anyway, Dominion, fantastic game, and that is my number 4 gateway game. My number 3 gateway game is Ticket to Ride. I would recommend probably the USA version. I personally have the Europe version just because I like it a little bit better. But any version of Ticket to Ride is good, but I would stick with definitely probably at first the USA, or this one is a little friendlier because the original Ticket to Ride is a little more, I don't want to use the word cutthroat, but I guess, people can play it that way. Now, Ticket to Ride is a great game where you're trying to make sets of colors in your hand with your little train cars, and then on this beautiful board, you make these train routes, and as you connect the routes, you'll get points, and if you make your destinations, you get bonus points at the end of the game. If you don't get those, you'll get negative points, so you want to make sure that you make as many routes as you can. So it's so easy to learn because everybody's played like games where you match colors or suits, like Rummy or whatnot, and using those familiarities, it makes this game a beautiful game at the table, by the way, to look at and to play with all the plastic trains that you get, and the cards are really nice. And this, I like the European version because it comes already with the nicer cards. You can buy an upgrade kit for the original Ticket to Ride, but you know, it's still not necessary to play. But any of the Ticket to Ride should be good. But I highly recommend Ticket to Ride, the original USA, and the Ticket to Ride Europe. And this is my number 3 gateway game because, hey, who doesn't like a number 3 gateway game? Am I right? My number 2 gateway game is Jamaica. I actually don't have a copy of that right now. My friend Conrad, who's a part of the Dice Matrix, is the owner of that game, and I get to play with him quite often. So I'm thinking about getting my own copy just because it's just a fun, fantastic game. But as far as gateway games go, Jamaica is a kind of a pirate racing game where everybody is just racing around the board trying to collect as treasures as they go, because they score towards points at the end of the game. And at the end, if you finish first, and you get like so many points. I don't know if it's 15 or 20. It's been a couple weeks since I played. But the whole idea is like you add up where you finished, and then you add up your treasures, good or bad at what you got, and that's how it scores at the end. But it's really easy to learn. Everybody takes these turns with these cards, and you have to choose which of the cards you want to use for the actions. So like one will happen first, one will happen next, and then everybody moves at the same time. And then each person takes a turn choosing a card out of their hand, and then they'll choose how they'll roll some dice and how the dice roll with the cards and the actions in their hand. It's pretty fantastic. I probably didn't explain that game as well as it should be, but basically think pirate racing game with some choosing options, and you get to roll a little bit of dice. It's really fun, it's fast, and you can play several games like this back to back, and it's a great gateway game. So coming in at number 2 gateway game is Jamaica. And for my number 1 gateway game, it's only proper to call it the King of Tokyo, which is a game where everybody gets to play a monster. You roll a bunch of these dice, and you choose to either add up points and score. The whole object is to get 20 points, or you try to go inside or outside of Tokyo and you pummel the other monsters with the little claws that you make for attack. So the object to win the game is to either get 20 victory points or to eliminate all the other monsters. And it is a fantastic game. You're rolling these dice and you're trying to heal your monster, or you're trying to deal damage, or you're collecting points, or you get to buy these special abilities with the energy that you collect, and you can make sure it lets you customize your monster and do different things. This game is so easy to teach, so fast to learn that people absorb it. I took this to my family reunion this last year, and a couple of my nephews, and I forgot the one guy's name, I wasn't even really familiar with. He came over to the table, he saw me playing with it, and they got into it just like that. And it is a fantastic game. I've never seen this game go poorly. They have a spin-off called, was it King of New York, I believe? But I prefer King of Tokyo just a little bit better. But my number 1, hands down, King of Tokyo. Hey, thank you for watching. If you want to leave a comment, tell me what you think that are your gateway games to get people into the hobby. Please like and subscribe if you do like the videos. If you don't like the videos, hey, if you accidentally hit like, I won't complain either. But really, seriously, from the Dice Matrix, my name is Eric Tarver. Thank you so much for watching.